Hello friends, welcome back to the channel Study with Ben. So as you would have seen in the last video where I discussed a brief introduction about OOPS and its four functioning pillars, that is encapsulation, polymorphism, abstraction and inheritance. So today in this video I am going to discuss in depth about encapsulation. Like what is encapsulation, what is data hiding, what is setter and getter functions, and how to achieve encapsulation. To begin with, initially let me just give you a little idea about this. Whatever we are going to discuss here in terms of OOPS in this video as well as in the coming videos, it will be more prioritized for Java. But all into put together, whatever the languages those supports OOPS, they mostly work as similar. But here we will be focusing more on the Java part. So without any further ado, let's jump to it. So encapsulation. So let's see. First, not by the definition, I will not tell about how the paperish or bookish definition works. So I will explain it in my words. What is encapsulation with a real life example? Consider a capsule, a medicine, right, that we get. How does it work? So it's basically, it looks something like this, right? So we have a capsule something like this. Inside that we have different kinds of whatever the medicines that we require, compact, or I can say put together into a single unit. So that's what is encapsulation. You getting my point? So what I am doing, suppose as a manufacturer of this particular capsule, I am hiding the actual data and I am presenting the end result to the customer as a single unit. That's what encapsulation means. Getting it? Now, encapsulation plays a very crucial role when it comes to two important things. Number one is data hiding, and number two is security or code secure. Now how these two actually are achieved using encapsulation, we are going to see by an example. So here I am going to design a class, a simple class called employee, and then we'll see how to achieve data hiding and how it is securing actually by code and what is encapsulation. Let's get to it. So let's design that class. So say for my class name is employee, okay, and inside this class, now generally how do we create a class? Suppose I want to create a variable of type integer as employee ID. Let's take it as an example. Now when I am not giving this type, the specifier, right, so that means this is accessible by any other variable or any other class or wherever I am invoking or inheriting this particular class. Okay. Now suppose I create a method of display, suppose, okay, and it is doing some set of actions here. How to differentiate it? Now how to encapsulate this? Focus. If I create this, now suppose with first of all, let's forget about encapsulation. Let's see how to access this class now. So if I create public static void main, I'm just writing in short, okay. Inside this, what I am doing is I am creating an object of employee, I'm just writing it in short, employee, I have created object E of this class and I am modifying my variable equals to 101, suppose. What is happening here actually? See, now this particular variable that is inside this class is editable directly using an object of that class anywhere. Is it safe? No. Because anywhere where we have this class, right, we can edit this. We can directly edit. Any user can edit this. Now this is not safe coding practices. So here comes encapsulation. The first one, as we discussed, is data hiding. Let's see. If I make this variable as private, now what will happen? I cannot access this anywhere outside now. Anywhere. Because it's private. And inside this, suppose what I do is, take this example like employee, whatever name you want to give, and here I am giving a variable or an argument of int type of suppose EID, anything. Okay? And here inside this particular function or method, what I am doing is this variable which is private to this class, but it can be accessed inside any method of this particular class, equals to EID. Getting my point? Now what happens? Now this particular command is invalid. It won't work. This is now giving me an error. Why? Because it's a private variable. It is not a public variable anymore. So you cannot access it this way. If I want to access it, suppose, just cross this, I'm not removing it from the board, just so you can remember, like, this is why it is now invalid. So to access or to modify this particular value, what you have to do is, you have created a variable, you have to call this method, that is emp display here, and then you have to pass that value. This is called data hiding, and this particular way of calling or modifying that particular variable is called secure coding. So I have secured this particular element or particular variable. Now this is how the encapsulation works. To display also, I mean, this is, suppose I change this name as employee set. Suppose I can create another method here, void emp display. Inside this, simply I can write, or not void, let's write it as integer type, and I can display it as return emp id. So what it will do is, so this method I can use to modify this element, this variable which is private to this class, and this particular method I can use to display the value of that modified or whatever the variable value is right now in my main method dot emp. Suppose this is set and this is display. Okay, for your better understanding, just after this, at the end, the whole code will be there displayed as a neat and clean. But this is how the encapsulation works. Always remember, I'm just giving you a quick recap of this. Data hiding and secure coding are the two pillars or two functioning or the two methodologies of encapsulation. Here we wrap up, in a simple language if I say, we wrap up the variables and the code that works on those variables. That's how we generate methods, right? The code that works on those methods or on those variables or methods inside a single unit. Okay, the definition will be flashing right now here on the below. You can go through it. So yes, this is all about encapsulation. In the coming up videos, we are going to talk about the next topic, that are polymorphism, abstraction and inheritance. So don't forget to subscribe on the channel and click on the bell icon. Like the video, share it. Thanks.
So hello guys,
whatever we have just discussed about the encapsulation on the board, so we are just going to implement a particular program on the Eclipse. So yeah, I mean, I have created a project called as Study with Ben. Inside that we have a source file. So what we are just going to do it, we are going to create a Java class, say for same, we'll go with as what we have created in our, we'll go with public static void main here. If you guys are familiar with Eclipse, then yes, we do get an option to whether we want to create a public static void main method at the time of creation of the class or we don't. So we can select and deselect that. So right now I'm selecting it. So see, we get a class as well as a static void main. So I mean, in the coming videos I will show you, I mean, without this also, but yeah, for here, let's just for our practice. So what I did in this program while explaining the encapsulation was, I created a variable called empid. I will create a method of suppose set empid. Okay. And here we, yeah, okay, let's fine, let's not even disclose this, we'll just comment this. Okay, so what we are doing here right now is we are just giving this particular, we are just declaring it. Okay, and then later on in the main method we are creating an object, say for emp equals to new employee. So we are creating an object called emp for this class named as employee, and we are going to modify that element. So to modify that particular element or that variable, we have to use it in this way, as it's an integer or int type of variable. So like this is how we are going to modify it. Now this is not a kind of safe way, that's what I explained during the video. So in an encapsulation, what we can do is we can first initially create a private variable. So let's just create or transform this particular variable empid into private. Okay, what I just did, and then I'm just implementing a setter and a getter method. So set empid is something where I am going to set or define or change or update the value of this particular private variable of class employee. So in order to do that, I have to provide a argument to this set employee ID. So suppose I give as eid. Now what I just have to do is emp id equals to eid. Okay. Now many of you might be suspecting why I am giving this space here. It's nothing, I mean, experienced people or who knows this must be knowing this. It's just a good practice. I mean, I can write it in this way. That's not at all incorrect. This is absolutely correct. But it's just a good practice, so that I mean it is easy to understand, even easy to explain. Okay. Now later on, let me just create another method which is public to other classes. Void or yeah, void get emp id. Okay, I'm just in sec creating it. Okay, here I am going to return the emp id. Now if you see, this is general or basic fundamental of any programming language. With a void type you cannot return, so emp id is basically of integer type. So I am going to make or modify this particular method get emp id as integer type. Now see, the error has gone. So this particular class now is working as well as fine. I mean, it is compiling fine, right? There are no errors. Now here, this particular command, let me just comment it. What I'm going to do is now, instead of making this unsafe, what I just showed you in the video, I am going to make it as a call. Okay, now how do I call it? I gotta call this particular function, that is set emp id.
Okay, so in order to call that, the object to call this class is emp dot, what is the name, set. Yeah, see, if in Eclipse, I mean if you are using any IDEs, then you might get these kind of suggestions. So I'm getting this suggestion like set emp is a function of a object which belongs to this particular class. Inside the class there is an object, there is a method of set emp id which holds an argument of integer type. If I enter, I gotta just type the value. So now, okay, here what I have to do is, suppose syso, that is system.out.println, value of emp id is, I'm just typing it for your sake. Now here what I have to do is, I just have to call this particular method which is returning this value. Understood? How to do that? Yes, let's do it. So my object to access that class is emp dot, what is the method name? Get emp. See, again you're getting it in suggestion. Just enter, save it. Understood? Let's try to execute this particular code. Now see, there is a particular error. What is the error? Now there is a syntax error here that I can see. Any guesses? I'm just giving you 5 more seconds. Yes, this is the error. Understood, everybody? I mean, I don't expect anyone else. So like you guys don't have this particular you know, if you, I believe you guys have the basic knowledge of this. So this was the, it was syntax error. I mean deliberately left error, I can say. Let's execute it. I mean there are 2 ways again in Eclipse. There will be a particular video in future for the Eclipse programming, like how to execute on what are all these features and all, but yeah, this is something that we are going to start with. So you can, if you have the Java installed and Eclipse installed in your Windows with Java path setup, so you can run as Java application. See, the value is 101. Now just let's change this value. Let's make it 104. And the next option is, if you see where my cursor is, run employee. The class name is employee. So we have an option here to run it. Click on that. See, so the output is 104. So this is how the encapsulation works. I mean, see, if I just comment these 2, okay, let me just go here. I am just commenting these 2. I'm uncommenting this one, and I am going to you getting any output? No. Are you getting any output? No. See, I am executing it. If you have any doubt, let me do it. Run as, run configuration. See, I'm not getting enough. You see, if I go for run, understood? So this is what I just explained you on the board, and this is how the code works. Stay tuned guys, see you in the other video. Goodbye.